What is it that you would like to learn more about? Different forms of pressure-based puzzle mechanisms? The base layer design of elemental monuments? Sure, I'll hang out with you youngsters.
Well, Madam Faurzan, I'm sure your students here would love to learn how you perform in the TCG. Hello everybody, my name is Genshin Creations, and today we'll be doing a first impressions on Faruzan and how she does in Genshin Impact TCG. If you're new here to the first impression series, essentially what we do here is that we cover the entirety of the character's kit. We're going to cover any tips and tricks, as well as deck building, so you can take your favorite character to new heights. With that out of the way, let's get started. Now, not to worry, I know the video looks really long, but we're actually going to go ahead and do a little bit of extra matches just at the end of the guide segment. So don't worry, the guide is not going to be like 20 minutes or like 30 minutes. It's going to be like 10 minutes or so. So with that out of the way, let's get started into our first match, where we have right here, my friends. And I went ahead and built 2 decks for this. We'll see them in it. Leave a like and subscribe, and let's dive into our first match right here. So what I have here is a simple OTK deck with Raiden burst into Faurzan burst into Xiao burst, and then he laments all over the place. You get the drill. But I'm doing this on purpose to showcase Faurzan's main draw, and that being her damage boosting burst, which most people will be playing for. However, surprisingly, Faurzan on her own is a very competent unit thanks to her skill damage and ability to reduce her normal attack cost by 1 dice, and we'll see this in just a moment in the Wind Realm of Nanjinsin, which already off rip already deals 3 anima damage, which is a lot better than other skills which usually give you some sort of status, and that status being manifest skill. When this character to which this attached to use a charge attack, spend 1 less on a line element and change your physical damage into anima damage, and also attach Pressurized Collapse. That's a lot of hoopla, but already off the gate, she can easily give herself anima damage and also have a reduced normal attack, which other damage boosters don't really have. Now, the other thing is being Pressurized Collapse is pretty important because it attaches a debuff to the character, and this debuff being that if they are not the active character and the end phase comes, they will be forced to be switched to the active character. Now, this has some niche setups that I'm going to talk about in a little bit later, but let's go ahead and move on to her burst because it's coming up very soon, and that being the Wind Secret Ways. This will deal 1 anima damage off the start and summons 1 Dazzling Polyhedron. Dazzling Polyhedron in the end phase deals 1 anima damage and has 3 usages, and we'll see it happen right here. I'm just going to go ahead and let Faurzan let it play out. Ouch, that kind of hurts, but she's going to strike back with Vengeance and with the Talent card, which we'll also talk about, Bonk, and it'll deal 2 damage because it has a little bit of a self boost. Or, well, actually, no, that's the Eye Stormy Judgment. Don't catch me on that one. But anyway, yes, so here's the Dazzling Polyhedron. It deals 1 anima damage in the end phase, and if the summon is on the field, you'll do +1 anima damage to all opposing characters. Now, with the Talent card, additionally speaking, the Wondrous Path of Truth, when you create this, you'll also create 1 extra anima dice when it enters the playing field. Now, something also that's nice about this summon is that it also will self-boost itself, so you see in the end phase how it'll actually deal 2 anima damage, and that's really cool. And you know, this is a lot of damage to come off of just 1 summon that also has 3 usages. You know, that will constantly attack the opponent with a good amount of damage, especially if you can add swirl reactions into it. Now, the other important thing I wanted to talk about, of course, being the Pressurized Collapse status to the character. That this is a bit of a tip and a trick, but you're going to have to be very careful with how to use it, because this can be very useful in first and second turn advantages. What do I mean by that? Essentially speaking, if you're forcing someone's character to be up front after the end phase, you can force and ruin someone's first turn setup. Basically, let's take an example here. Let's pretend this is Chonyun right here, and I have Raiden, you know, very classic Chonyun SC, Shenhe SC kind of deck, right? So I want to go ahead and I for some reason I start on Chonyun, and then I skill, and then I jump to Raiden, but you ideally want to stay on Raiden because she wants to burst. Well, what I can do with Faurzan is that I'm over here, I go ahead and drop skill, and then I drop my arrow. Chonyun is now stuck in place, and then when she swap back to Raiden, they won't be able to stay there because the Pressurized Collapse will force them up and switch in the end phase, and that is super useful, but it's a very niche case scenario. You have to be very careful and count your turns out if you want that to happen, and you may be able to see it better in maybe a non-setup deck like this, but we're going to continue on with match. So we're continuing on the match. We're just going to go ahead and let the summons do their thing, and there you can see the self-boosting of the animo damage onto Lecter, or not Lecter, I'm sorry, Herald. Herald, if that's even really your name. But yes, let's get past this dice roll, and we're gonna go and head and just, you know, some Xiao things are going to happen, so we're gonna go ahead and quickly talk about the deck list itself. It's very simple. I made sure to squeeze in both talents just to make sure we can showcase them, but also because it is pretty useful for Faurzan to generate another dice so that Xiao can do some crazy stuff, you know, and have decent enough break points. It's very aggro. You got Gamblers, got Fresh Wind and Freedom, and then I use the new version of Seed Box, which costs requires you to use 2 cost support cards being Starter's Lair and Leeway Harbor Wharf. Again, this isn't an amazing deck, but you know, if you're just trying to get into the basis of Faurzan, this is a great place to start. But yes, I'm going to know how to slide this right away because we are getting to the point where things are going to start becoming a problem. But there's that extra dice, and also this extra dice is really nice because you have to deal with someone like Herald, who has the curse of the Undercurrent, who is now forcing me to use all my skills and bursts at a 4 cost. Now, thankfully, he is the only one that has this kind of mechanic, but in the future, there may be more characters who have this kind of thing. But thankfully, on the other end, I have talent cards, which talent cards don't actually get affected by his abilities. It's only the base character skills, which is really nice. And additionally, Farzan over here has Parthian Shot, so she's able to drop Manifest Gale and then just, you know, trick out her way through it. Now, I'm gonna let Alhaitham do his thing, and now it's time for the OTK. I haven't lost yet. I have Lotus. We're going to go ahead and drop that, and now that's actually the boost itself. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Getting more stuff that I need for Xiao, and now I only have 2 dice, but I definitely think we can make this work out, or at least we're probably going to... Yep. All right, we're going to Anno Res into Xiao, and then we're going to drop another dice, and we also have Gambler's pre-prep, and this burst does like 5 bajillion damage. Alhaitham on 2 health, and he's out of the house. There we go. Now I have another 2 dice. Now this is a really cool observation I want to talk about because Yaksha Smash has a lot of abilities that people don't really think of. People think of Xiao's talent, Conqueror of Evil, Guardian Yaksha, and what it does is that it simply reduces your animo dice cost to your skill by 1. However, there's another ability of this, and if I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, please make this text condensed. If a character who has this card attached is the active character, when you perform switch characters, you'll spend 1 elemental dice once per round. Now, this never actually came up because, of course, Xiao has the ability to do plunging attacks, which will be +2, which is quite good. But in this case, I am actually 1 damage off of Heralding Kuki because I only deal 5 damage with my normal attacks right now, you know, aka with the boost, eh? So here, what I do is that I'm going to do a little bit of a trick. I swap over to Faruzan with only 1 dice cost, and then I swap back with Animo Res, and then I drop my Animo dice, and now I deal exactly 6 damage to finish Kuki off, get a Gambler's Chain, and then we're going to finish the job with a Lesmatic Wind Cycling. GG's. And that was a really satisfying match already off rip to show you the power of Xiao OTK with the boosting of Farzan at her side. Now we're moving on to the more competitively recognized that being Faurzan Aggro from the CN player Voiceanid. And I quite like this deck. I really like what they did, you know, with using the value of bow and, you know, all the kind of stuff that they can do with making this such an aggressive deck despite being with, you know, kind of a weird character lineup. So we have Farzan, Lyney, and Lynette. And Lynette really only comes in the end game because what we're going to start with is that Lyney is actually going to go ahead and drop this Pyro Summon, and then Farzan is just going to start putting in work, and you'll see she can really do a lot of damage. We're also against our good friend Pilot, you know, one of the CTG players, and also just a pretty good player, always hanging out on the Discord server. But yes, we're going to go ahead and drop all of this stuff. And this is the thing I talked about, where Farzan can actually surprisingly drop a good amount of DPS on her own, even without the help of like Raiden bursting and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and use King Squire, our good friend, who can make our skills cost exactly 1 dice. And so that's super useful. I got immediate value that off the gate. And now we're just going to go ahead and let the round play out. But yes, I will go ahead and pull up the deck list itself. So I did drop Farzan talent just for fun. It's not necessarily required. I just did it because it syncs very well with King Squire. It's also the original deck. And then you can see we have 2 King Squire, and we also have our good friend Unseen Razor, which you will see right here in my hand, actually, which returns weapon cards, and it pairs very well with King Squire because then you can immediately refresh its ability and then do your thing and basically spam it constantly. Now, you know, Wanderer over here is a very scary deck because they do themselves also have a significant amount of aggressive play, but I'm going to shut this down very quickly because thanks to, once again, Farzan's personal damage, I can now drop this burst, and now Scaramouche better move out of the way or I am actually going to take him out, because now we're going to once again show this weapon efficiency. Unseen Razor is going to come out. I take the bow back. It now costs 1 right now. Drop it on Farzan, and now I can drop my skill for that much damage, and he's out of the game. Super freaking strong. Already on turn 2. That is a turn 2 kill on Scaramouche. Huge. Super huge for this. Now I do have to deal with the menace known as Eula, but we are going to be able to bust through with that. And yes, I just, you know, I have another talent here just because why not. Now, I will talk about some things about this deck because I do know that people have cited that, hey, maybe Golden House isn't the best idea. And I can definitely agree with that. While Golden House is going to help your King Squire's activations be way more consistent, the thing about it is that, you know, you have to draw a Golden House in the first place to actually make it work. There's also Fatui Res, which, you mean, as much as this is my favorite resonance, it is very hard to play. So, you know, you don't necessarily need to have this in the deck. But overall, definitely keeping the core of bow and into some sort of weapon reducer into Unseen Razor, and then just, you know, jamming out the rest of the aggro for the rest of the game is pretty much all you need. Now let's go ahead and focus back on the match, where my Lynette is unfortunately frozen, but I did some Lyney shenanigans and I was able to drop just one extra dice, and now she is dead from the summon. GG's. Oh, almost there. There we go. All right, very, very nice. But that is pretty much all of Faurzan's kit in the TCG. I know it seems pretty short, but I still have my 2 other matches where I survive an OTK and another display of her personal damage. She's overall pretty simple, but has a lot of small nuances thanks to her charge attack mechanic, as well as very competent personal damage. In my opinion, she's one of the better damage boosters thanks to her ability to make use of the damage herself. And because you guys need it, let's go ahead and drop the decks right here. There you can have it. There's also the codes in the description if you need to check them out. But that's pretty much all for this guide segment. Be sure to check out GITCG and my other channels for more content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!
The campaign begins. Illusion shattered!
See about that.
The world will burn.
Step right up.
Sure, I'll hang out with you youngsters.
Here comes the finale.
Dare to mess with me?
My show mustn't fail.
Need the help of an elder, huh?
Quietly now.
The puzzle is still unsolved.
Evil conquering. What are the odds? Prepare to be amazed.
Dissipate. Too late for regrets. This way through a little. We'll see about that. Have fun with this gift.
Oh, it's an honor to be here.
The Temple of Wisdom.
Fire!